I walked into the reception hall and felt the weight of every eye on me. My sister's wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, I was alone at a table for one, and a stranger leaned over and whispered, "Act like you are with me. If you love raw stories, hit the subscribe button. Now, because what happens next will hit you harder than any wedding toast you have ever heard." My name is Leah Harper. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, the middle child of three. My older sister Mia was always the one who organized everything, from birthday parties to school projects. She was the perfect daughter, the perfect student, the perfect girlfriend. I was the one who faded into the background, the one who watched from the sidelines. Mia's wedding day arrived with a sky that was a perfect shade of blue. The church was decorated with white roses and strings of lights. I spent the morning helping my mother with the last-minute details, trying not to think about the fact that I had no date. My boyfriend of 2 years had broken up with me 3 weeks earlier, and I had promised myself I would not bring anyone to the wedding. When we arrived at the reception, the room was buzzing with laughter and music. The tables were arranged in a U shape, each seat filled with smiling faces. I was directed to a table near the back, a single chair with a small vase of flowers. The seat beside me stayed empty. I tried to smile to act like it did not bother me. I poured a glass of champagne and took a sip, feeling the bubbles fizz against my lips. The band started playing a slow song, and couples began to drift onto the dance floor. I watched them, feeling a pang of loneliness that settled deep in my chest. A waiter approached with a tray of appetizers. He placed a plate in front of me and asked if I needed anything else. I shook my head and thanked him. As he walked away, I heard a soft voice behind me. "Do you mind if I sit here?" I turned to see a man in a dark suit, his hair slightly disheveled, a warm smile on his face. He looked familiar, but I could not place him. "Sure," I said, gesturing to the empty chair. He sat down, placing his drink on the table. "I'm Alex," he said, extending his hand. "Leah," I replied, shaking his hand. We made small talk about the wedding, about the food, about the music. He seemed genuine, and for a moment the loneliness faded. "Your sister is beautiful," he said, nodding toward the bride, who was laughing with her friends. "Thank you," I said, feeling a swell of pride. The conversation flowed easily. Alex asked about my job, about my hobbies, about my family. I found myself opening up, something I rarely did at gatherings. He listened, his eyes never leaving mine. As the night wore on, the band switched to a slower song. Alex stood up and offered his hand. "Would you like to dance?" he asked. I hesitated. I had promised myself I would not dance with anyone, that I would stay in my seat and not draw attention. But something about Alex made me want to say yes. "Okay," I said, standing up. We moved on to the dance floor, his hand warm on my waist. The music was soft, the lights dimmed. For a few minutes, I forgot about the empty seat at the table, about the breakup, about the feeling of being invisible. When the song ended, Alex led me back to our table. He pulled out my chair and smiled. "Thanks for the dance," he said. "My pleasure," I replied, feeling a flush rise to my cheeks. We talked some more, and then Alex excused himself to get a drink. I watched him walk away, feeling a strange mix of excitement and anxiety. I was not used to feeling this way about a stranger. A few minutes later, Alex returned with 2 glasses of champagne. He handed one to me and raised his glass. "To unexpected connections," he said. I clapped my glass against his, the sound echoing in the hall. "To unexpected connections," I repeated. We drank, and I felt a warm glow spread through me. The night seemed to stretch on forever, and for the first time I felt seen. Later, as the evening grew late, I excused myself to the restroom. While I was washing my hands, I heard a voice behind me. "Leah?" I turned to see a woman I recognized from the wedding party, Mia's maid of honor. "Jenna," she looked pale, her eyes wide. "Jenna, what's wrong?" I asked. She glanced around, as if making sure no one was listening. "You need to come with me, now." My heart raced. I followed her out of the restroom and down a hallway, the music fading behind us. She led me to a small side room where a few people were gathered, their faces serious. In the center of the room stood a man in a tuxedo, his back to us. He turned, and I recognized him immediately. Alex. "Leah," he said, his voice low. "We need to talk." I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. "What is this about?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Alex took a step forward. "Mia asked me to come here tonight. She wanted to talk to you, but she didn't want anyone to know." My mind spun. "Mia? What does she want?" Before Alex could answer, the door opened and a flood of light poured in. My sister Mia stood in the doorway, her wedding dress slightly disheveled, her eyes red from crying. "Leah," she whispered, "I'm sorry." I didn't know who else to turn to. I stared at her, at Alex, at the room full of strangers, and felt the floor tilt beneath me. Mia stepped forward, her hands trembling. "Leah, I need you to pretend that Alex is my boyfriend. I need you to act like you are with me tonight." I stared at her, the words echoing in my head. "What? Why?" Mia's eyes filled with tears. "Because if anyone finds out the truth, everything will be ruined." Before I could respond, the door behind us slammed shut, and a shadowy figure stepped into the room, a phone in hand, a cruel smile on his face. "Looks like the party's just getting started," he said, his voice sending a chill down my spine. "The people we trust the most can become the ones who hurt us the deepest." The lights flickered and the music stopped. A cold laugh cut through the silence, and a shadow stepped forward, phone glowing in his hand. If you love raw stories, hit the subscribe button now, because what happens next will hit you harder than any wedding vow you have ever heard. I stared at the stranger, his grin widening as the room fell into a tense hush. The phone in his hand showed a live feed of the reception hall, my sister's terrified face, the guests frozen mid-cheer, the glittering chandelier swaying slightly. "Who are you?" I whispered, voice shaking. He tilted his head, eyes never leaving mine. "Name's Victor. I'm a friend of the family." He tapped the screen and a video began to play. It was a clip from earlier that night. Mia, my sister, slipping a small envelope into Alex's pocket. She whispered, "Make sure Leah thinks you are with me. I need her distracted." My heart slammed against my ribs. The mid-story twist hit me like a wave. Alex was not a random stranger. He was a hired actor, paid by my sister to keep me occupied while something else went down. Mia's eyes met mine across the room. She looked like she was about to cry, but also resolute. "Leah, I'm sorry," she mouthed. But the words were lost in the sudden roar of the music as the band kicked back in. Victor laughed again, louder this time. "You see, Leah, your sister needed a little help. She's in trouble, and you walked right into it." He held up the phone, showing a text message. "If you don't give me the money by midnight, everyone will see the video." My mind raced. The envelope Alex had taken, what was inside? I glanced at the table where Alex had sat. The small white envelope was still there, half open, a flash of paper peeking out. "Give it to me," I said, voice steadier than I felt. Victor smirked. "You're not the only one with a plan." He pressed a button on his phone, and the lights dimmed again, this time plunging the hall into near darkness. A single spotlight fell on the wedding cake, and a figure emerged from behind it. My mother, eyes wide, clutching a small box. "Mom," I gasped. She looked at me, then at Victor, then at the box. "Leah, I didn't know this would happen. I thought I was protecting you." She opened the box to reveal a stack of cash and a set of keys. "We need to leave now." The final twist slammed into me. My mother had been in on it too. She had arranged the whole thing, hiring Victor, paying Alex, staging the fake boyfriend, all to get the money from the wedding gifts. And the family trust, which she claimed was hers after my father's death. The envelope Alex had taken contained the deed to the house my parents had lost years ago, a document that could give my mother ownership of the property she had been fighting for. I felt the room spin. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. My own family had plotted to ruin my night, to steal what little security I had left. "Why?" I asked, voice cracking. My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Your father left us nothing. The trust was supposed to be mine." I was desperate. I thought if I could get the money, we could start over. Victor's smile faded as he realized his leverage was slipping. He lunged for the box, but I was faster. I grabbed the cash and the keys, and with a swift motion, I threw the box onto the floor. The money scattered like confetti, the keys clinging to the edge of the table. "Stop!" Victor shouted, reaching for his phone. I turned to the crowd, the guests now awake and murmuring. I raised my voice, the raw edge of panic turning into something fierce. "Everyone, look at what's happening here. My family tried to steal from you, from me, on my sister's wedding day." The room erupted. Guests began to shout, some pulling out phones, recording. The band stopped playing, the music cutting off abruptly. Victor tried to flee, but the police, who had been discreetly called by a guest earlier, burst through the side doors. They seized Victor, handcuffing him as he struggled. Mia ran to me, tears streaming down her face. "Leah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they would go this far. I thought they just wanted the money for the house. I never meant for you to get hurt. I stared at her, the anger and hurt mixing into a cold resolve. You put me in the middle of a crime, Mia. You let a stranger use me as a pawn. You let Mom betray us both. Mia sobbed, clutching my hand. Please, Leah, I love you. I don't want to lose you. The police led Victor away, his phone still recording. The live feed now a chaotic scene of betrayal and confession. The evidence was undeniable. The aftermath was brutal. My mother was arrested for fraud and embezzlement. The family trust was frozen, and the house that had been the source of so much pain was put up for sale. The wedding gifts were returned, and the guests left with a story they would never forget. Mia's wedding was canceled. The venue sent a full refund, and the date was left empty on the calendar. She moved out of town, unable to face the town that had witnessed her family's downfall. I kept the cash that had spilled on the floor. It was enough to pay off my student loans and to put a down payment on a small apartment of my own. I used the rest to start a support group for people who had been financially abused by family members. The revenge was not a grand gesture. It was the act of exposing the truth, of letting the world see what my family had done, and of turning the pain into something that could help others. It was satisfying, but it came with a heavy price. My family was shattered. My sister was gone, and the holiday lights that once filled the reception hall now seemed dim. I still hear the echo of Victor's laugh sometimes. A reminder that evil can wear a smile. I still feel the sting of my mother's betrayal, but I also feel a strange peace. I learned that the strongest thing I could do was to stand up, even when everyone else was watching, and say enough. The deepest wounds are made by those who wear the mask of love while plotting in the shadows. If you have ever felt trapped by family, by debt, or by fear, know that you have the power to break the cycle. Thank you for staying with me through this. If you found this story powerful, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more raw, real stories.